Good evening. I am so glad to be here with you all tonight. As I reflect on the last year, we've been exposed to raw undercurrents of violence, conflict, distance within our community and between our community members here locally, nationally, and internationally. It's showing up in the tone and tenor of interactions with neighbors, at public meetings, within our homes, and within places that we've long thought were safe. I truly believe that we each have a responsibility to navigate through these undercurrents in a way that strengthens connection, reduces violence, and builds compassion. And we're doing it. Tonight is an opportunity to celebrate community members that are building peace in ways that are congruent with our mission. So again, I thank you each for choosing to stand with us, for choosing to stand with peace, and for being here tonight. The Peace Builder Awards has become one of the most visible ways that we can acknowledge the efforts of individuals, organizations, and businesses that are contributing to a more peaceful community. It is these award recipients that remind me and remind us of how accessible the act of peace building really is, and how integrated it can be into our daily lives and actions. And I think that that's something that we just each need to sit with, of how accessible peace building is and how we can integrate it into our daily lives and actions. Each year, for those of you who've been coming for many years here, you'll note that the event has grown significantly. And in tandem with that, I have to share that the selection process for our award recipients has become more and more difficult. And once again, we received a record number of nominations this year. We received over 40 nominations from all throughout Whatcom County. Yeah. There's so much amazing work and so many incredible acts of peace building that are happening in such interesting and creative and intentional ways. So our board of directors grappled with determining who we would recognize and which peace builders most closely and creatively embodied our vision, mission, and values. And we are so pleased tonight to be able to recognize outstanding individuals and programs in 8 categories. But before we begin those awards, I also must acknowledge that we are celebrating the 4th annual Youth Poetry Contest. And open to students in grades K through 12, we invited young people to submit poems about peace or other aspects of conflict resolution. We received over 80 submissions from young people who'd written about peace. So talk about a competitive process. We wish that we could recognize and honor all of them here tonight. But 5 of those students were selected, and we'll get to hear their poems throughout the evening tonight. They're all here with us, ranging in age from 5 to 17. Pretty fantastic. So now, are you ready for our Peace Builder Awards? Okay. We're going to start with our first award for the evening. And I'd like to invite Pastor Qualls to come join me down here at the base of the stairs. And many of you might already be attuned to the concept that the root of conflict is unmet needs. And this first award was granted in large part in recognition that Pastor Qualls is committed to addressing the root of conflict within our community and doing so in a creative and compassionate manner. So I'd like you to join me as we learn more about his efforts, and we have a video to share with you.
My name is Rick Qualls, and I'm a pastor at Fountain Community Church. I've been pastoring in Bellingham since 1971, so I have the honor, I guess, of being the oldest pastor that's still serving in Bellingham. And I am the director of the Sandwich Way Coalition that started about 2.5 years ago. I think the criminal activity is one issue, but just those victims that are indirectly associated with that criminal activity. There might be a drug problem, but they're not just the users and the distributors, they're the families that are watching it or being exposed to it that creates a safety issue, a health issue, on and on. So one of the first things we did almost 3 years ago now was just invite people to come and let's talk about this. Let's bring your piece of the puzzle, be it a homeowner in the area or a business owner or the sheriff's department or whatever. And as we began to have conversation, we saw the need was so much more than one person or one agency could tackle on their own. So we had to look at the housing scenario, the safety scenario, the morality scenario, the drug use, health, all those kinds of things. It took a while for us to really be able to engage and have some meaningful conversation, but beyond that, being able to try to bring some resources to people's lives. Part of our group felt like the best way to address this was to actually be on site, and it started with that, with a week at the hotel, and then we opened a center up here on the corridor for about 1.5 years. I think one of the hardest situations was seeing a family of 7 in a motel room with 2 beds and seeing little kids that had nothing. It wasn't just about getting emergency housing, it wasn't just about care for their kids, it was about a job. It was about hope for the future, about what do I do when I'm a single parent and I have 3 kids and I have no income. So it wasn't something we could just say, okay, this plan will work for you. It'll fix all your needs. We had to come up with a much broader scope. Being able to hear just those concerns, because some were saying, well, we just need a place where people could eat a meal, or someone else was saying we need a job search program, and on and on. So we had to try to hear all of that and try to make some sense of it. Out of that, we formed a core group of people, about 25 of us, that met almost every week for several months to try to dialogue and see what are we doing, what can we do. Obviously, we're not doing enough because there's still a problem. Recognizing that a lot of our skill set wasn't meeting some of the psychological needs, some of the health issues, some of the problems that are long-standing. So we had to continue to kind of beat the drum. We have to do this together. We can't evaluate the need and then walk away saying it doesn't fit in my box. We have to figure out whose box it belongs to and how do we do this together. So we have an email list of about 100 different agencies and families and such that represent other agencies and families, and it goes out in a network. When we have needs every week, we send it out. Here's the need, who can help? So we'll continue to exist because the need continues to exist.
So, Pastor Qualls, if you could join me to receive your Volunteer Peace Builder Award.
I just had one hope when they took that video was that they would airbrush some hair in, but really honored to receive this award on behalf of the coalition, because this was a journey that still continues. This next week we'll serve about 150 people Thanksgiving dinner and interact with them on countless ways. Just before I got here tonight, I had a family call and actually ended up at my door and were shivering on the side of the road because it was so cold, and the coalition had the ability to put them into a hotel for a few days until they got into emergency housing. And I've been in Bellingham since 1971, and these last few years in relationship to the community has been another season of education for me, being able to rub shoulders with social services, with law enforcement, with the city of Bellingham, with countless people that all recognize the same problem, and we're all doing a piece of it, but to be able to be part of a team to come together and to see some things happen that kind of filled in the gaps, filled in the places that people needed to hear and know. For me, coming from the faith community, it was a stretch for us to be able to partner up, but it was such an honor to be able to sit with people who represented different disciplines and ways of reaching into the lives of the people that we were contacting, and to be part of that solution we have a lot of work ahead of us in that regard. But as I met with a member of the planning division last week, she said, well, everybody is aware of the homeless situation right now. It's become a priority, and so we need to look for more ways to partner up with the faith community, with the city, with the law enforcement, with the various agencies to represent. And that's an exciting piece for me as a pastor to be able to see that kind of partnership form and to be able to be a part of tonight and celebrating so many others that are working really hard to try to meet those needs.
So our board was pleased to grant this next award, a collaboration award, in honor of the City of Ferndale and Star Park project, Playground, in recognition of a creative, inclusive, and collaborative process which united thousands of people for the public good. So let's take a moment to hear about this particular project.
I'm John MUTCHLER, Mayor of the City of Ferndale. Every community feels like it needs new parks that are closer to people, and also parks that have more interesting activities. For a long time, we felt like we needed something that would be especially appealing to children, and so we came up with the idea of our Star Park here.
My name's Riley Sweeney, and I work for the City of Ferndale as their communications officer. Well, the collaboration for Star Park actually started with the children. So what we did at the city level is we went into the schools and went into the kindergartners, first graders, fifth graders, third graders, and talked to them about what they want in a playground. And they said, I want a rocket ship! And we took those ideas and we compiled them all together, and we came up for the design for Star Park.
It gives them a sense of ownership in this park. It's their park, and they designed it, we helped build it, and I think they'll be proud of it. I'm hoping they'll be proud of it when they grow up and have children. They can come back here and say, hey, we built this park, have fun.
There was just one little hitch, just one little catch with the grant. We had to build it entirely with volunteers.
So people pitched in. Businesses jumped in with either financial support or with volunteers. There were businesses that sent their staff out here and paid them to work on their time, but they came out and volunteered with the city. We had some 2,000 volunteers come together and build this park. It was a lot of collaboration.
We wanted Star Park to reflect the character of Ferndale. So, in Star Park, you'll find reef net fishing boats that done in the style that the Lummis use to fish. And you'll find the railroad bridge, perhaps our defining feature here in Ferndale, the railroad bridge that goes across the Nooksack. And you'll even find a little Metallica logo, because somebody has been spray painting the Metallica logo on that bridge for 20 years. It's a part of Ferndale history. So the park reflects the city and the people who built it.
2,000 people can say, I did that, and hopefully we'll stay together for a long time. But it's exciting to be part of something, and I would be thrilled if we could do a project like this every few years, not every year, but every few years, because you really feel like you're part of Ferndale when you do something like this.
We wanted to create some of those commons here in Ferndale, where people of all stretches of life, of all occupations, could come together, play and enjoy and connect. And that is the basic framework of peace building.
So, Mayor MUTCHLER and Riley.
This is such an amazing surprise. In my private professional life, outside of being mayor, conflict resolution and reconciliation and community are so important to me. And this is such an exciting project to be part of, because it was a collaboration of just about anybody who had breath in their lungs. Started with city staff, and we have an amazing staff in Ferndale. Riley, of course, is part of that staff representing them today. Elected officials that got on board. We had former elected officials show up and spend the entire week helping us to build this thing. The business community, churches, nonprofit organizations, schools, and citizens of all ages. And the coolest thing was watching more senior citizens that had skills in using tools, teaching 10 and 12-year-olds how to use a power tool. And it worked out pretty well. I don't think we had any injuries, and we're knocking on the door for that. Lastly, we had to do this thing in 1 week. We'd scheduled a big grand opening on Sunday night. And my regular job is pastoring a church, so I need to be at church on Sunday mornings. I was so excited about the thing that I got there at 6 o'clock Sunday morning in my jeans and worked that thing, and I wasn't the only one. There were hundreds of people working that Sunday morning, and then they went and did their stuff, and they came back and worked the rest of the day. So it was so cool. And I'm very grateful for this award, and it's really for the whole city of Ferndale. Thank you very much.
And now we're going to have a very special opportunity to hear from our first poetry contest winner. So Brandon, Zem, would you please join me up here? So Brandon is pretty awesome and pretty brave. He's 13 years old. Do I have that right, Brandon? Are you 13? Yeah. All right. He's 13 years old. And yeah, pretty fantastic. You're in the 8th grade, right? At Linden? Yeah, so he's in the 8th grade at Linden Middle School, and he's got a pretty powerful message to share about the impact of our words through his poem entitled Help. All right, Brandon, come on up.
I hate it so much when people bring you up, then just burn you down to the ground, pound by pound, all around. Wrong place, wrong time, wrong way. This is how you handle yourself when people are so cruel. They use their words as a tool to chip away piece by piece at that misshapen thing you call your heart, your soul, your dignity. It's just a joke, but it isn't when you're sitting in a corner while they laugh. A giant wave of darkness coming in to drown your small ray of hope and happiness plunges you into an abyss, laughing all you hear all around you, growing in strength, crushing you. Look for a hand, for someone to make a stand. You walk away to redeem yourself another day, another way. You try to come prepared, wear bigger pads so you're not sad. Keep your head up, be confident, be a leader. Just when you think it's going great, no one you hate, they come fast, hit you from the blind side. You drop the ball, then you fall. You want to speak your mind, you want to say help or stop being such a... Wait, never mind. Then you find many names thrown your way. Gay, racist, retarded, confused. Nobody likes you. You pour your heart out, use your words as a spout to shower the ones you love with your sorrow, your rage, your guilt, and that consuming, undeniable, gut-wrenching thing you know is true. But you have to deny or would use your sanity, your humanity, and you realize you're being torn down brick by the words people use till you crumble into nothing. You disappear into total nothingness, washed away, just a stain on the earth that needed to be cleansed. At least that's how you feel till you're gone. But that could have been prevented. I'm not saying to commit to entering someone's life. All people need may just be a smile, a wave, a chance. So try, use your brain, reach out your hand so they can stand. Erase that chain of events before it even starts. Sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt you. Give me a break.
Okay, Brandon rocked that. Encore, right? I know, it's pretty fantastic. Spoken word at age 13. I love this night. This is a fantastic evening. I'm going to invite you to join me in welcoming Jeff McKenna to the stage. Okay. So sometimes the most difficult conversations to have are the most important ones. Jeff is being recognized for his leadership in creating space for courageous conversations. And let's learn more about what he's been working on.
My name is Jeff McKenna, and and I'm a prevention specialist for Bellingham Public Schools. And Mad Hope is our attempt to stop suicides in Whatcom County. We realized one central fact, which was that the students knew way ahead of us, adults, who was suicidal and who wasn't. And we needed them. We needed them to tell us so that we could do something about it. So kids know ahead of us, on the one hand. On the other hand, they usually don't know what to do about it. About the only thing that stands in the way is some of the understandings and techniques and things that you might be able to teach in a workshop like the ones we do. So we're trying to bring both of those things together, what the adults know and can do and what the students know. You know, we emphasize talking to your friends, or listening to your friends in this case. And we say that actually that can prevent suicide. When people don't always believe it because it's just like talk, you know, listening. But it's the connecting that prevents it, right? And that comes from the listening. The student brings their friend or family member to an adult that they trust, who can then facilitate and bridge over to the professional care that the person needs. Almost every workshop, almost everyone, if not everyone, there's an intervention that happens. So that's what I hope for Mad Hope, right? More people will know what to do. We have to do something, and this is our way of doing something, taking some action, honoring the people that have gone before, you know, that have really just, so that other folks don't have to follow in their footsteps. You know, we couldn't get them the help they need. And now we're trying the best we can to get help out to people that need it.
It's our honor to present you with the Youth Education Award.
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you very much. I'm overwhelmed by an honor such as this. I feel like I shouldn't be standing up here by myself. We have our first effort at doing something about suicide was at Bellingham High School back in 2012, and we had lost 5 students in 5 years' time to suicide in our school district alone, let alone those at Western. I think there were 3, several on the 2 reservations. So we put something together. We attempted to put something together. 200 people showed up for that first meeting. And I feel like those 200 people ought to be standing here, because we wouldn't do anything had they not shown up. I'm not sure where we would have landed. So Mad Hope is the mad hope of ending suicide in Whatcom County. That's what we're trying to do. And we really started because students came to us who, 2 of those deaths were Bellingham High School kids. And so their friends started coming to us in the counseling area there. And they said, you know, we want to do something. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And of course, all the counselors are saying to each other, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And what all the people from our district's crisis team, which we call the mobile response team, we were all saying, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? But it was the kids that pulled everybody together. One of them is here. The only one I could find is, who is, you know, this is 2012, so the only one that I could find that's still here is Caddy Williams Vogelsong, who sits over there. But Mad Hope's always been a collection of people, as represented by that 200 that came. There were people there who lost their sons and daughters, people who lost their mothers and fathers, people who were suicidal when they were children and now were adults and had been working on that issue all those years, 30, 40 years. So all kinds of people with all kinds of needs. So, what I remember are the students. Mariah Jansky was one of the first ones. Laura Cota Gutierrez was another one. McKenna Lautenbach. These are all people you don't know, but they're really important people. Michaela Knudsen, Melanie Moubleau. Those are the ones that strode up the first, along with Caddy, and stayed with us the longest. Went to all the meetings every month with a bunch of adults, and it was horrible for them. But we ended up with something, and I'm proud of what the kids did. And I'm happy that the health department and Whatcom Family Community Network, the Whatcom Prevention Coalition, and Bellingham Public Schools, of course, they all helped us, and some of the people from those organizations are sitting over there. So I would invite people to come by and meet those that helped us from all those organizations. It's a little community that we create when we meet together and talk about a difficult subject like that. So I called one of my teachers. I told him, I'm going to get this award, and I don't know how to handle it because, there should be 200 people standing here. And he said, well, I told him, Joe, his name is Joe Eagle Tailfeathers. He's a friend of mine from Alberta and a teacher for me. And I said, Joe, what do we do when we think about making peace? Because that's what the award is for. It's not necessarily about suicide prevention. He said, oh, yeah. What do we do about making peace? Let me think. And he says, making peace is making relatives. So it helps me to think of it that way. We're making relatives when we sit around and have our workshop. And we try to learn to listen to each other. And we try to use the listening to make connections. So I'm happy to be honored tonight. I want to thank Moonwater and the board of directors and all the ones involved in this. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Jeff. So it's my honor now to invite another one of our youth poets up to the stage. Haley, will you come join me, please?
My poem is called Just a Simple Hug. Bullying is so much fun. Try it, and you will see. Those wicked words spread like fire, burning down every tree. I love the way it makes me feel, so proud and in control. It takes away my thoughts and overpowers my soul. I cannot control it. It's part of who I am. How can I love if I've never felt it myself? I walked into school this morning feeling sad and down. I walked down the hallway and took a right turn. The boy I bullied yesterday was walking towards me now. He threw his arms around me and said he felt sorry for me. How was I supposed to react? I've never felt love this way. I just returned the favor and hugged him back. All it took was a simple hug to change my cruel ways.
Thank you, Haley. Take takes a lot of courage to come and read a poem in front of 300 people that you don't know. So much credit to our award recipients and our youth poets for their bravery. So now we have the honor of hearing about our next award recipient, Eric Brown. So this award was granted in the environment category, and this award speaks to the truth that seeking creative solutions requires patience, openness, and the willingness to dialogue with people who may hold views and have needs different from your own. I invite you all to learn more about his efforts.
My name is Eric Brown, and I'm the Trail Director for the Whatcom Mountain Bike Coalition. Our mission is to preserve and enhance non-motorized trail access throughout Whatcom County. A lot of old-timers in Bellingham still refer to us as the WIMPs. The WIMPs was an acronym which stood for the Whatcom Independent Mountain Peddlers, and we were really a ragtag group of mountain bikers who would come up to the mountain, ride our bikes, and we'd come and start building trails and doing these group rides and things like that. And it sort of snowballed into this, overwhelming recreation group here in Bellingham, in Whatcom County. Just because I'm a mountain biker doesn't mean I'm not a hiker, and just because I'm a trail runner doesn't mean I don't ride a mountain bike, right? I mean, if you live in Bellingham, you probably go out paddling in the Sound, you probably go hiking on the 542, you probably go mountain biking on Galbraith and on Chuckanut. I'm continually in contact with the other user groups like the hiking community, the equestrian community, paragliders and hang gliders, and people that you don't even think about, geocachers and people who want to go out foraging for mushrooms and stuff like that. I think what you have to do is you have to look at the big picture, right? And the reality is, it's not my God-given right to ride my mountain bike anywhere, and that's one of the ways you do it. You actually take a step back from your little sphere, right? Because we all get in our bubble. We all talk about the Bellingham bubble, but even there's a micro version of that, which is the mountain bike Bellingham bubble. And you kind of look at the bigger picture. You look at the other trail users, you look at the neighbors, you put yourself in their shoes. That means that mountain bikers aren't always going to have everything they want. When we hear about issues from neighbors around that adjoin Galbraith, we reach out to them. We go to the neighborhood association meetings whenever possible, and we try to basically let them know that we're here to help out wherever possible on that. That's really what it comes down to, and you're not going to please everybody. And I think that's one thing that we've tried to figure out, or I've figured out in my years, whether it's different type of work or this type of work, is you're never going to please everybody. So what you have to do is you have to look at the overall big picture, and we try to be good neighbors. That's really what it comes down to, is just trying to be good neighbors.
Thank you very much. I have notes because brevity isn't my forte, in the interest of keeping everybody on pace here. So first and foremost, thank you, everyone. I want to say thank you to the Dispute Resolution Center, Moonwater, your staff, the board, and everyone here tonight who's supporting this wonderful organization. Certainly when I started building mountain bike trails 20 years ago, I never thought I was a peace builder. I didn't really consider myself in that echelon of groups. So thank you to be honored with this really cool, eclectic, amazing group here. So I'm honored. And first and foremost, I have to thank my incredible wife, Courtney, who I worked in tech for about 15 years, and I decided to make a little diversion in my career path. And despite the loss of income, and my wife has been very supportive of that, and so thank you, honey. So it's not easy, but I do appreciate it. Also, as Moonwater, you can attest, we have a great board and in our organization, and they do so much behind the scenes. I mean, literally so much that no one ever knows about. So several of them are here tonight. So I want to say thank you to our board for the WMBC Whatcom Mountain Bike Coalition. So thank you, guys. One of our missions nowadays is to get more kids off their asses, off the screens and out in the trails, right? That's a big part of what we do. So We now have 9 mountain bike programs and after-school programs in our schools here in Bellingham. We do the bike rodeos at all 14 elementary schools, or is it 15? I probably buggered that up. You're welcome, April. And we want to do more in the county as things start to progress for us. I'm the only employee of the organization, so everyone else is volunteer, but we're doing a lot. We're trying to do more, so thank you to everyone who supports us. A few things that I'm particularly proud that we've done in the last few years, and many of you have also been a part of this. I know Rich is here from the Land Trust and some other folks who have been a part of this. Barry is here from the County Council, is the Lake Whatcom reconveyance, and that was a big part of what we did, so thank you guys for supporting that. The trail plan just passed council and it's going through SEPA, and we'll be building up to 97 miles of trail in Lake Whatcom area around it's going to be not today. Calm down. But in the near future, we'll be building multi-use, single-use, lots of different types of trails. The great thing about it is Galbraith connects into the lookout part of that, so people who recreate on Galbraith Mountain will have access to more trails on Lookout Mountain. So the future is really bright here in Bellingham for that stuff. So we're really proud to be leading the role, in a leading role on that sort of stuff. Last but not least, I have to thank our volunteers, because we turn away volunteers oftentimes at events and fundraisers and trail days and races and stuff like that. There's not a lot of trail organizations, a lot of organizations, period, nonprofits that do that. And that's really, I think, a real reflection on the passion, the dedication. You know, mountain bikers are a little bit of a weird, eclectic group, but we're really passionate about what we do. And I see a lot of friends around here who are part of that weird kind of group. But the one thing I want to say is that if anybody here goes up on Galbraith, and I would encourage you to do so, or Chuckanut, you know, a lot of hiking, a lot of trail running, not just mountain biking, and that's a little bit of a weird thing that people don't know about. So I do want to encourage folks to go up Birch Street, go up from the south side. There's lots of hiking. The other thing that we've done is we've been building a lot more beginner trails that are really good for beginners and kids. And so nowadays you see groups of kids, parents riding with their kids, recreating with their kids outside. That's huge, right? I mean, getting them, we're hopefully fostering the next generation of stewards and people who really care about trails, water quality, you know, our forests, things like that. So, sorry, I'm coming off a little preachy, but last but not least, you know, so our volunteers are awesome. We love them. Thank you so much. And our education and youth programs are going off the chart. Last, I would be remiss if I didn't say our calendar for our trail days is on the website. You can go to the WNBCMTB.org and you can find out our trail days. We have a trail day almost every weekend. And second of all, Black Friday, if you don't want to go to the big box stores, we're hosting an opt-outside trail day, ride day on Galbraith. Work off some of that turkey, get out of your tryptophan days, come on out and help us work on some trails. And also Land Trust is doing something too. Rich Bowers is around here, he can tell you a little bit about that. Other organizations are doing that. I want to promote them as well. WTA, other folks are doing that. So last but not least, 2 things we're working on. I said this, I know, Moonwater, I'm sorry. We're trying to save the core 1,600 acres of Blanchard Mountain, and if you guys care about that, please let your senators, your legislators know about that. I'm sorry not to make this political. Last but not least, we're also trying to preserve access to Galbraith, and that's a huge thing for this community, whether you know it or not. So if you want to know more about that, hit me up later on. Sorry, Moonwater. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
So we have another award recipient that we're about to honor. And I have to say that sometimes peace building takes the form of simply but profoundly holding a space. Simply but profoundly holding a space for people to come together, and regardless of individual solutions or individual positions or opinions, to stand together in unity of a common vision. And for the past 50 years, the Peace Vigil has done just that. And KERRY Johnson is here tonight on behalf of the founders and participants, many of whom are here tonight as well. So KERRY, will you please join me here as we learn more about the Peace Vigil?
My name is KERRY Johnson, and I'm associated with the Peace and Justice Vigil that meets here in Bellingham. It occurs every Friday from 4 to 5 in the afternoon in front of the old Federal Building. We like to think that we're the oldest peace vigil in the United States, and maybe the universe, which we think is something of an accomplishment.
My name is Dottie Dale, and I have been attending the weekly vigil ever since we moved back to Bellingham in 1990. Unfortunately, we live in a culture that is based on conflict and war. And if you live in that culture, you better have somebody who not just once, but continually reminds ourselves and people who see and hear us that there is another way.
The Peace Vigil is different things for different people. And I could tell you what the Peace Vigil is for me, but everybody at the vigil would say something different. In our culture, it's particularly odd for people to come to a corner and stand and hold signs. I mean, people in Bellingham have come to be accustomed to us, but when the people first go by, it's like, what is this? They can't comprehend what is going on because it's foreign to our experience.
I one time was talking to somebody about who we were, and I said, well, you might consider us one of the alternative medias in Bellingham, because we're telling people through our being here and the signs we choose to hold a very different message than they read in the paper every day, or they hear over the every day, or watch over television every day.
Many of us refer to the vigil as Democracy Corner, because we know we don't own that corner, so if other people come, this is what democracy looks like. It is often messy.
On one hand, I hope there will always continue to be people who want to be out publicly declaring their peace and their work for peace. On the other hand, wouldn't it be nice if we didn't need to remind people that that was a basic need that we have?
People tend to think of peace simply as a lack of conflict, and it certainly is that. But the words that come up into my head that peace has to include justice. It needs justice to survive, to be worthwhile.
I do want to point out that this is our 50th anniversary. I didn't start coming to the vigil until September of '02, so I'm not really a long-term vigiler, as is Dottie, who is sitting right here. And in fact, if possible, could I get the vigilers who are possible to stand? I mean, we came here as a group. And I'll just point out that there is no organization; it is anarchy. So, I'm accepting the plaque, but there is no there. But we enjoy it. Thank you very much.
And now we have the wonderful opportunity to hear from another youth poet, So Robin, will you please join me up here? While she makes her way up here, I'll share with you that Robin is 9 years old and is in the 4th grade at Lummi Nation School. And her poem, entitled "The Truth," was selected for its simple but important message about what underlies our words. Robin?
There is always the truth behind every, just kidding. There is a lot of knowledge behind every, I don't know. There is a little pain behind every, it's okay.
So Brad, will you come join me up here to receive your award?
My name is Brad Lockhart, and I am a graphic designer, and I created the new unofficial Bellingham Flag. Creativity isn't just for artists, it's for everyone. I think a big part of this flag is the storytelling aspect of it, how it tells the story and the history. I think that helped make it become a solution, the story behind it. So I think when you're solving problems and when you're trying to mediate, you just have to use your imagination sometimes. And a lot of it is compromise too, right? Like, I had to make compromises with this flag. I had to take off elements that I thought were pretty, but maybe they were overcomplicating things. And that's a big part of peace building, is compromise and really boiling things down to problem solving, which is, you know, central to visual identity and brand. Collaboration was important because this flag needed to live a lot of places, and it needed to coincide with a lot of people's visual identities. The visuals on the flag bring together the diverse aspects of our community because they talk about particularly our history and our geography, but as much history as I could cram into one flag. The flag has 4 main components. It features a blue half circle that represents Bellingham Bay, 2 white 4-sided stars that represent the local Salish people, which is the Lummi Nation just to the west and the Nooksack just to the east. It has 3 wavy lines, which are a symbol of the word Whatcom, which is, the definition of Whatcom is noisy waters, and it also represents the place name that the Nooksack people gave to the mouth of Whatcom Creek. It has 4 stripes, which represent the 4 original towns of Bellingham, so north to south, that is Whatcom, Seaholm, Bellingham, Fairhaven, who all came together to form Bellingham in 1904. And a lot of people like to fly the flag vertically, and when you do, the wavy lines become a depiction of Whatcom Falls itself. I think visual identity is extremely important. People haven't really ever had a way to say they love Bellingham before. There hasn't been something simple and geometric and relevant and clean that can live so many places. I really see it as my goal to try and improve the visual identity, use the skills that I have to make everything look better.
Thank you so much to the WDRC. This is a huge honor for me as an artist to receive an award of this level. I need to thank Bob Pritchett, who was a huge supporter of the flag from the beginning, and for his enthusiasm and determination. I need to thank my partner, Nika Munn, who's here tonight, for having to hear me say the word flag every day for the last 9 months. And she hasn't murdered me in my sleep yet, so that's actually really good. And lastly, I just want to say, while it's been an exciting 9 months for this symbol, it's really still in its infancy, and it really can do a lot more for this community. It's not the American flag by any means, but it is an American flag in that it's coming to represent this beautiful little chunk of America that we live in and that we care about. And we're smack dab right now, as she was saying, in one of the most tumultuous moments in this nation's history, incredibly divisive. But flags have this crazy power in moments like this. but they're only as strong as we make them. So this art project, for as much as I care about it, it's not here to save us, but it is here to serve us. And that's the attitude as an artist that I'm trying to adopt in this moments like this. So I just want to say that if you think you can use this symbol to better your organization or your nonprofit, your business, your neighborhood, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, I don't care how big or small your project is, I want to work with you. So don't be a stranger, and let's make this place an example for the country. Thank you.
So will everyone join me in welcoming Grace Naughton to the stage? Grace is 17 years old and attends the 12th grade at Mount Baker High School, and her poem was selected for its powerful imagery and message of hope.
My poem is titled Neurons and Peace. I thought peace was in quietness and tranquility. I thought it was a place that you could find it. It was a calm lake in the early hours of the morning, a pastoral sight, the colors lighting up the sky in blues and pinks. A beautiful sight with scattering light, or idyllic syllables and sounds playing, guiding you to peace, clarity, and happiness. Or sitting in a quiet library with the sun filtering in with plenty of time to write. I thought whenever you found it, you would want to be alive. So when I can no longer feel that feeling of the dusk descending over me, or feel the weight of the light, I wanted to die. Peace is in perception, a place inside the human mind. It's a certain slot of the human spirit's capability, and sometimes you can reroute it and let everything in and see the beauty, feel the tranquility of this indescribably spectacular world. Sometimes you can try, but the connections living inside your mind are scrambled, like the neurons our electricity unlocks. The locks can't open because everything is short-circuiting at different rates and times. It can hurt to see the world in its placidity and look at the stars, knowing you cannot take it in. You are still perceiving it, in some way, in some corner of your mind. Peace is not a delusion, nor is the will to be alive, because there are so many details in the simplest things. There is so much depth to their iridescent colors reflecting on that lake. There are so many pieces to every second, and maybe you can't really see it or feel it or know what it means to. But that doesn't mean you aren't perceiving it. And sometimes peace is knowing you'll one day find that feeling again.
We have the opportunity now for another award recipient. It's our Transforming Justice Award. And sometimes taking the time to ask, what does our community need and how can we do this better, leads to powerful change. For years now, the Lummi Indian Business Council, Tribal Court, and community organizations have been asking and answering those very questions in the hopes of creating a system of justice that is not only more effective, but also in cultural alignment with the tribe's values and traditions. Would Nick Lewis please join me up here on behalf of the Lummi Nation? And I invite you to join me as we learn more about what's happening.
My name is Shasta Kano Martin. I'm a sitting council member, but I'm also the secretary for Lummi Indian Business Council. When I was elected to council, there was a huge need in the community to see something change within our justice system. Community members were really upset that the judicial system didn't represent them.
My name is Nicholas Lewis. I'm a council member for the Lummi Nation. And I think what we're trying to strive for is something that's culturally appropriate and sensitive to our way of life. You know, this get tough mentality of lock them up and throw away the key. You know, we kind of bought into that, just like the country did. You know, that's why there's so many judicial reviews and reforms going around. You know, everybody's really taken a hard look at the way practices are.
My name is Dean Martin Jr. from the Lummi Nation. I was told that there was no hope for me, that I wasn't going to change. and that there was no kind of program or whatever that was going to save or benefit me. And they were going to revoke my probation and give me 1,000 days in jail. And I asked for one chance and one chance only. And thanks to Nick Lewis and the LCP program, I got that chance, and I've been making the best of it every day.
You know, that was my background. I was a probation officer before I was elected to council, and I helped, along with a few others in the probation department, really create the policies for this program.
The philosophy is that you can't do work in a meaningful way if you're not working on yourself.
You know, probation as it currently is very reactive. You know, if somebody violates it, it's going to take them, you know, it could be up to 8 violations, for example, and it's going to take 2 months to resolve those issues. By that time, the person could overcome some of their challenges. Maybe they got a job, maybe they got a house, but you're then addressing their violation that they did 2 months ago. So again, it's very reactive. So with the swift and certain, you address it right there on the spot that day. Somebody, for example, tests positive for heroin or meth. They might not go to jail that day, but we address it that day. If they have a job, and as long as we can ensure that the safety of the community is ensured, we might have them serve that jail time on the weekend or their days off. Again, so we're not trying to harm their way of life, but we're trying to address the problems.
It's finding ways to support them instead of punishing them, and circles is a way to get them connected with community.
To me, it seems like they're giving respect where respect is due. You know, I mean, they're, like I said, they're not looking at all the flaws. They're not looking at all the wrongs. They're respecting people as human beings and not a case file. You know, I'm not just a number, and I'm not a statistic. You know, I'm a person. I have feelings. You know, whether they're deep down inside and I have a hard time showing them, they're still there.
It's going to create a system that 7 generations down is a system that really respects and serves the community because it's created by the people.
Nick Lewis.
Thank you everybody for being here. My name is Nicholas Lewis. My Indian name is Jetskatum. I am you heard I'm a council member for the Lummi Nation. The Lummi Nation is truly humbled and honored to be able to receive an award like this that shows that the work has been noticed. But as a person that has really understood both sides of the judicial system, the changes that we're making are life-changing, you know, and we're able to make some of these changes because of great leadership. You know, we have Judge Doucette and Judge Cordoza. If you can please stand up. For the work that you're doing, thank you on behalf of our people. You know, the judicial system is changing and it's growing, it's evolving. You know, last year our jail budget was $1.8 million for 5,000 people. You know, with some of the changes that we've made this year, it got dropped to $1.2 million on incarceration. So we're making changes. But the true person that deserves to be honored is the people. Politicians, leadership, you know, we can pass laws, we can create policies, but it doesn't work without the people. It is the people that make it, is the community. And with that being said, if Dean can come up here, I really feel Dean should accept this award on behalf of the Lummi Nation.
Hello, my name is Dean Martin Jr. My Native American name is Hayalton. I just want to say thank you to Nick Lewis, you know, for giving me this opportunity to have my voice be heard. Thank you to Judge Cordoza and Judge Doucette. You know, they've seen me plenty of times. I'm just glad I'm on the positive side of it now. Living proof that can be changed. I work 2 jobs. I work 65 hours a week. I pay for my car insurance. I pay for my rent. You know, I live responsible, and I owe a lot of that to Nick for bringing it out of me. I just thank you all for hearing me and let me be here. Thank you.
I did want to add one more thing that I had forgot to mention. When we talk about swift and certain, we're not the first one to do it in the country. It was created and implemented off of another swift and certain probation model out of Hawaii called HOPE. But when we learned about it, we wanted to make it more appropriate for our people. So what we called it was Chikints, the LCP, Lummi Chikints probation. And Chikints in the Lummi language means beginning to be on the right path. And Dean is the perfect example of somebody that he's on the right path.
I now have the pleasure of introducing our youngest award recipient for our poetry contest. Millie, would you please join me up on stage? Millie is 5 years old. Hi, Millie. Millie is 5 years old and is in kindergarten at Bernice Vosbeck Elementary School. And her poem was selected for its simple and important message. She's asking now. Is now a good time? Okay, they're ready.
People so us. If you all have a fight, you fix it. You talk about it. That's love, that's love, that's love.
Congratulations, Millie. That was wonderful. And Millie, we have this gift. I have to say, Village Books graciously donated gift cards to all of our youth poets as well. Congratulations, Millie. Okay, it's time for our last award recipient of the evening. If Catherine and Sapphire can come join us up here. And they're receiving our Creative Conflict Resolution Award. And I have to say that sometimes it can be hard to talk with the people that you love and to talk about what matters most. Sometimes those are the absolute most difficult conversations, right? The ones with the people who are closest to us. And it can be even harder to share those experiences with the world. So I'm hoping that Catherine and Sapphire, you're here to join me now, that you can all join me in learning more about their story and their experience in mediation.
I am Catherine, and this is my daughter.
I am Sapphire, and this is my mother.
A family member got ill, so it transformed our life. We went through many changes. We were regular people, and financially, it changed our lives.
It can be hard sometimes. Like, I've gone to school and not wanted to be there, not wanted to do anything, and just, like, go in the bathroom and cry and not talk to anyone about it and just be by myself. There's nothing that you can really do but just try to get through it and keep your head up.
I heard about the Whatcom Dispute Resolution Center when I went to a fair at my son's school.
My name is Kate McLean. I'm a mediator in training, and I'm a professor of psychology at Western. What I would say to a family going through conflict is that it's normal, and that all families go through conflict, whether they appear at the DRC or not. And learning how to manage that conflict, deal with that conflict together, and maintain those relationships and strengthen those relationships is a real gift to everyone in the family.
Me as a parent, I tend to fall back on, oh, well, I've heard that before, and then we get stuck and there's no forward movement.
Active listening is one of the biggest things that I had to struggle with personally, and learning how to actively listen to someone and really understand what they're saying to you in the moment and being present to everything that they're saying is really key.
Catherine, her partner, and Sapphire were all talking about their relationship, and it was clear that the tensions were rising, and there were some tears, and there difficult things were being said, and it just felt like saying those really difficult things, and then each person hearing the other person saying those really difficult things was a moment where, okay, all that had to get out, and it got out, and the world didn't end, and they were able to keep talking after that.
I've learned the guidelines that we can implement regarding communication, how to have this open communication where the person feels self-expressed. My proudest moment was with my daughter, and to see her willingness to go through a process like that, because I think it's not always easy for a teenager to do that. And I was just proud that she wanted to help me turn everything around and implement a more peaceful environment.
I'm proud of my mom for a lot of things. I think that she's a very awesome mom, and we've just been through some crap in our life, and the fact that she's still pushing through it and pushes through it with me and my little brother, and we get through, we eat, and we have a roof over our head. It's very amazing to see that my mom can do that for us. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Everything was great, and then life happened. My son is sitting over there, and he's Seattle Children's Place is an amazing place, and they fixed him. But meanwhile, that went on for a few years, and it just, I've always believed in peace, but boy, did we start fighting for it just within our house. And this center's amazing. I want to give all of you an award just for supporting this, because it takes all of us to achieve peace. And the support you give makes this opportunity possible for us has a ripple effect in our community. And I just really appreciate each and every one of you, and I'm grateful for this opportunity.
Teamwork makes the dream work. Thank you very much for everyone to come out tonight. Thank you. Peace and love.
To all of our community peace builders, to our youth poets, thank you and good night.